couple of months ago, Quilt Canada was held here in Toronto, and I got to see some amazing quilts, not just in the juried show, but also in the exhibitions and in the vendor hall. And that is where I saw an amazing quilt called Amsterdam on the Canal. And not only did I fall in love with the pattern, I was delighted by the amazing woman behind the pattern, today's guest, Edith Choiniere. Not only is she a talented designer, she has served with Canadian Armed Forces and has worked and traveled all across Canada. So grab your sewing and a cup of tea, and here is my interview with Edith Choiniere. Welcome, Edith, to the show. Whereabouts in the world are you coming to us from?
I'm coming in Saint-Bruno on the south shore of Montreal in Quebec.
Okay. Are you originally from there?
I'm actually from the Eastern Township, a nice little town called Granby, and it's where the big zoo is, and it's a nice place. Yeah, it's about an hour and a half from here.
Did you grow up in a crafty home?
My mom was a seamstress, and she still is, and she's been sewing for 65 years. And at first she did classes for haute couture. When my father divorced her with 4 children, she started repairing clothes, so that paid the mortgage and everything. So she's very crafty. And she taught me how to knit and crochet at 6 years old, and I get that from her.
So she must have had a big space in your home where she did all that work.
Yeah, she had a segregated place where she had her studio and she sewed and everything. We didn't have a big house. I had 3 other brothers. So, but she always managed to have her own space to do everything she wanted, yes.
And do you remember like customers coming to her, or did she go to the customers?
My pet peeve was when they were coming through at supper time. And she said, well, I got to make money. So we hated that. But anyway, she was right. She needed to work, and but she was her own. She's self-made kind of businesswoman. In matter of fact, she always was.
I understand that you are a member of the Canadian Armed Forces. You must have joined just at the time that they were allowing women into field units.
Yes, actually, I joined in, went to basic training in 1983. I met my husband, and he's an Acadian, and we were posted together in Gagetown, New Brunswick. We were posted all over the place, and every place we did, every posting brought me something special, another gift that I could work with. So when I went there to the first posting, we were together, I met my mother-in-law. She's Acadian, and I always wanted to quilt when I was little, but I didn't know anybody that did it. So a friend of mine, I went to her place, and she had a big loom, and she was doing the quilting on her grandmother's blanket. And I thought to myself, this is what I want to do this. And I was about 12 or 13. And anyway, but when I met Mark and his mother, she was quilting a lot, but she was ripping the fabric, and she was not using scissors, and she was assembling the quilt by hand and everything. And I thought, I want to learn, but this is painful. I mean, this is a lot of work. And in 84, that's when they started with the rotary cutters and the mat, and everything exploded. So my husband is from Rogersville. In Rogersville, there was a little corner store. It's a little village of 2,000 people. And in the corner store, there was a big tri-wall full of stack of 12 by 12 fabric, all kinds of fabric. So I said, oh, I was kind of candy for me, So I started quilting like this, just squares. That's how I started. And then I developed my new style, but it was traditional, and it was always bedspread. I did one every year, but I hated quilting. I hated it. It was not fun. So after that, we were posted in Valcartier, because one of the general women said, we need women in the field and we need volunteers. So since my husband and I had a complementary trade, we both got posted to Valcartier, and I was one of the two first women to go in the field. I must admit, I liked it. I liked it very much. It was fun, and I always liked my experience in the military. I never had something bad happen to me, so it was fun. And then I continued quilting, but then I started painting. After my second was born, I had this urge to paint with oil. So I found myself a teacher. He was an artist in Quebec City, in the old Quebec, where the artists are all meeting to sell their paintings. It was really neat. So I got a few classes with him, and then I started doing my own thing. And our next posting was in Portage-la-Prairie, Southport. It was an aviation base. That's when the next evolution in my art started. And that's when I met Amy. So while we were posted there at first, we were living in the hotel because in our house PMQ wasn't ready. I went across the street and there was a little mall, and the first boutique I saw was a native craft store. So I went in and I just blurted out, I want to learn how everything you do here. And as a white person, I was talking to a native, and she was Lakota. She said, well, come back the next day. The boss is going to be here, and she can teach you. So every day I went to see, and the boss her name was Amy, and Amy Assiniboine, and she was in Algonquin from the Golden Lake region in Ottawa, near Ottawa, and she married a Lakota Sioux from the region where we were in Long Plain. So there was a few reserves where we were on the base. They started teaching me all kinds of stuff, so doing rawhide and moccasins and mitts and dream catchers and everything, and beadwork. So all this together, I was teaching also. I started my own business as art teacher for oil painting at that point. Amy and I, we just hooked up. It was a friendship, and she became my sister. She did a vision quest, and I assisted her in that, and we did sweat lodge and everything. And the elders taught us how to do the herbs and all kinds of teachings that I really, really liked. And at one point, I was asked to teach a school of kids, a native school, primary and the next level, to do dream catchers. I said, oh, that's weird, because that's their art. So I was a bit shy about this, not comfortable, but they pushed, and I said, okay. And then the Arts and Council in Portage asked me to teach the elders to do dream catchers. I said, oh. And I asked them, I said, listen, I don't know why they asked me to do this. You know your own thing, but because of the residential schools, they had lost it. So they needed somebody to bring it back to them. But they also taught me that, they use willow branches to do their dream catchers, and that the willow, there is aspirin. So when they have arthritis, they play with it, they touch it. So they taught me all kinds of stuff like this. It was the best posting ever my husband and I had with the kids. Military was nice because I'm a curious person. I want to know everything that's in the region, and so it brought me lots of people that brought me lots of teachings. For me, that was the best part of the military. Although we had lots of problem with the people coming from Gulf War and stuff, the military was always for me something that we appreciated, my husband and I, and every time we go near a base, we go to the base. I created last year in Edmonton, I went to the Canadian Quilt Show, and I met Vanessa Choiniere. She's a person very nice and very vibrant woman. I was talking to her and I said, listen, I created a quilt, a native quilt, and I can't sell the pattern. I don't want to sell it. I need to give it to someone that's going to use it and maybe get money for it. And I said, can I give it to you? She says, okay, but she didn't know what to expect from me. So I sent a few pictures, and last year, I gave her the quilt, and she was amazed. She put it in her booth, and this year it's at the Native Community Center. It's hung over there, so I gave her the right to the pattern so she can raise money for that. So the Indigenous people and the military are two big causes for me. I also met Lisa Compton. She's the president for Quilt of Valour.
Yes.
For the veterans. So she asked me to create a design for Quilt of Valour, and I did, and I presented it this summer at Northcott. They are giving me the fabric so I can make the bigger part. So I already did the quilt. So it's going to be one of their flagship quilts that I'm going to present in September when I go to Newfoundland and teach there. So.
Well, I noticed in your Amsterdam quilt, you used all Northcott's banyan batiks as well.
Yes. Batik is best for what I do because it's weaves so dense that it doesn't fray as much as the regular fabric. So yes, I use a lot of batik for that, yes.
So when did you start designing your own patterns?
At one point, I was doing traditional quilt and I was tired of it. And when we came back from Manitoba, I went to Walmart and I bought a book from a woman named Pam Bono. And she did a new technique that I liked. So I did all the quilts in the book. I started to phone because on the internet, you couldn't buy and have it delivered in Quebec. So I phoned the place, thought I was going to talk to a receptionist, but I wasn't. I was talking to Pam, and she lived in Colorado. And I started talking to her, and she invited me over. And I said, I want to do what you do. And so I went to Colorado I said yes. I say yes to almost everything, just to see what's going to happen. Her husband and herself, they were working together as their business was quilting. So she taught me the ropes. She taught me how it's done and how she worked and how she created. And I said, oh, that is awesome. I want to do this for a living. So, but I'm still working. So my day job, I'm trying to do everything at the same time. And when I came back, I said, okay, she said, do you want to sell my patterns in a quilt show? There's one in Montreal. And she says, if you sell it, I'll give you my business card and I'll equip you'll be equipped. Oh, I said, sure. So I phoned Quilt Quebec, and they asked, the first thing they said, are you a business? I said, yes, and I wasn't. So I quickly registered my business, and then that's what got me into selling and designing patterns. I said, okay, her technique was nice, but I needed to have my own thing. So at first I started with paper piecing, but people found that very complicated, and I'm always 3 steps ahead of the wave of the new thing, a bit discouraging. And then there's an agent from Baby Lock. She came to see me and she said, I would like you to be an ambassador. But I said, I don't want to be an ambassador. I want to create. I don't want to sell things. So she says, okay, we'll lend you a machine and you do what you do and do videos with it. So I did 1 video a month for 4 years, one in French, one in English, created the pattern, wrote it, do the piece. I was a bit tired after that. And all of a sudden, I kind of started designing, because when I work at my day job and I'm bored in a meeting, I doodle. I cannot stay put. So I said, oh, I can use this. And so I started doing the outline of something. And then I said, oh, and I started doing the design inside the design, the outline. And I got the software, Adobe Illustrator, and then I got used to that. And then it just went, that was the best thing ever. That's how it started.
When did you see that the directions for quilting a project was just as important as directions to piece it?
Because when I saw that I could do this, I said, I'm not the only one. Surely I'm not the only one. Everybody's is looking for something to quilt, the design to quilt, not just feathers and, and just meandering. I said, what if I can do this and show people how to do it in my pattern so it comes with it? It's just when I want something, I figure that I'm not the only one that wants it. So that's how I started doing it. And since Illustrator is really nice for this, my process is that I will draw it by hand, all the little lines, and then I scan it. And with Adobe Illustrator, I redo it with my cursor. And after that, I can explode it or make it bigger or do one design and then flip it and see what it gives me. Sometimes it's a surprise and sometimes it's really, really nice. It's an accident, or I always think what I like, maybe other people like it.
Well, I saw at your booth at Quilt Canada how people were reacting to it. Like it was, oh my God, this is directions for how to quilt it. And not just how to quilt it, but how to do it on a sit-down machine.
Yeah. I don't have a programming or I just have a sit down or domestic, because the pieces I do are no longer bedspread. It's a mural. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot easier. The bedspread, they're heavy, and you have to have all kinds of suspension to put it up and try to not be so heavy on the arms. But I like doing murals. Like the Amsterdam was so much fun to do. So much fun.
Where did the idea for that come from?
You wouldn't believe it. I went to IKEA and I saw a box. Those cookie jar. They had gingerbread cookies, and on the tin box there was little houses like this. I said, "Oh my God, this is cool!" That inspired me to go and look for houses in Amsterdam or other places. And I saw, okay, I'm gonna do different houses, and I figured that's, for me, it was going to be Amsterdam. So I did some research, and the wording, all Dutch, and I even had Dutch people reading the words and to say, this is it. This is, well, I wouldn't have done it if it was the right thing to write, but yeah, that was a tin can.
So have you been to Amsterdam now?
No, I want to go now.
Well, Amsterdam is not my favorite place in the Netherlands, but it's a nice city. Your Amsterdam quilt won a lot of different prizes. What did it win?
Just two prizes. The prize, it's for landscape, and another thing I don't remember. One in Quilt Quebec and one in Quilt Canada.
When did you start entering into shows?
I didn't want to. I was scared. I just started. Really. I don't know if you can see my quilt behind me, the two puffins.
Yes.
But this one won a prize for excellence in quilting. It's not for the thing, it's just excellence in quilting. And I was really, really proud of that one because it's intense, really intense. I just started doing it. So I won 3 prizes, but one is just started. I didn't think I was good enough.
Well, they were pretty amazing. I know so many people walked around the corner and just saw that Amsterdam quilt and just went, wow.
Wow. Yeah, and I resisted selling the pattern. I didn't think people would buy it.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Were you daunted by all the pages in this pattern?
Well, when you start writing, you don't know how many pages it's going to give you. But I started by writing one house every month. So that was really fairly easy. And then after that, I decided to do the landscaping. And the sky, I didn't know what to do, but the sky, the quilting for the sky is not in the pattern because it's just, I wanted the movement. Usually I will trace everything before I make a sandwich with it, the quilt. But for the sky, I did it after because it was just the spur of the moment. It was easier than I thought. And then all of a sudden I saw it was 220 pages. Well, I said, okay, nobody's going to buy this. That's one of my bestsellers now.
Yeah, it's a beauty. It's an absolute gorgeous thing. What did your family think when you won a ribbon?
Oh, my husband, first of all, my husband, my children, my two boys are really, really big fans. And my husband is always with me in all the quilt show. He sells with me. He's my arm candy. That's what he says he is. But he's a lot of fun to be around, and he's he's a people person. So, and I'm very introverted. I don't sell my own stuff. I just too shy. You ask me a question, I'll be all passionate about it. But I'm not a person that goes forward. He is though. He's a big extroverted person. So I need that. I need this compliment.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's almost like the engine that you ride on.
Mm, mm, mm.
And you must have been so exhausted at the end of the show.
Oh, this year, even more than the other, I have a problem with one of my knees, so I was standing up all the time, Mark, as well. But it was something, lots of stuff happened this year. And every time I go to a show, I've got new stores that are going to carry my patterns. I meet new people and we make connections. And this time I went to Northcott, and because I'm part of their creators club, so they give me the fabric to create. So I don't have to pay for it, but I don't sell the fabric. I'm not there yet. But it was fun to meet them. And then they showed me, you're going to choose your collection of fabric for the quilt of Valour. So I was just like, oh my God. And I met Deborah Edwards last year and the year before. So I love what she designs. And that was just like, I'm a biggest fan, That's the thing happened this year. And that is going to be, because I'm retiring next year and next summer. So I'm going to do this full time, back doing videos, back doing the block of the month, and doing all kinds of stuff, rewriting much more than what I'm doing right now.
Have you changed sewing machines since you started making mosaics and collages?
No, not yet. I have my eye on one that I would love to have, but it's too expensive for now. But we'll see. But no, I still have a TR3 and a soprano for a sewing machine, but no.
Now, I understand that you sought higher education. You went into the sciences.
I did my bachelor degree while I was working at the National Research Council. So
Okay.
I did that. And the military, I didn't do any science technology. But because of the military, my supply tech got me into where I work now. That's where it started. I went up the ladder fairly quickly. And it's actually National Research Council where I work is science and technology. And I work with scientists and engineers, and it's a nice group of people.
Well, quilting must be a nice complement to those skills as well.
Yeah, I think so. Scientists are creative, very creative. They're ingenious. Actually, one of the engineers says, your name should be Collection Inedith, because Inedith means unique in French. So I was just like, oh my God, he gave me the name, and we have a lot of exchange. I've got a few fans from the scientific world, and it was fun.
I was going to ask you about that. You probably get 1,000 questions. Is the collection Inedith a play on your name?
Yes, it is. It is a play on my name with the word Inedith. That means, figuratively speaking, means unique. And instead of having an E at the end, Inedith, it's an H. So with my name. So it's Inedith.
That's nice. Nice to have that kind of play. Are you a member of a guild, a quilting guild?
No, I teach to many of them, but I never joined a guild.
So have you done much traveling for quilting?
Yeah, I'm starting to get much more traveling because my husband says yes to everything. And he tells me afterwards. So right now we're going about an 8 hours drive from here at Lake Kepiskasing, north of Ontario. I'm going to teach a 2-day class in a camping site. So with gem quilting. So that's a first for me in a campsite. And we're going to Newfoundland for 2 weeks and a half in September. and I'm going to give 2 retreats of 2 days each with East Coast Quilting. And I'm going to do a trunk show and a video with Quilt of Valour for my new quilt. So it's going to be busy. And my husband is going to take pictures of what I want to do for my next project. I've got a few ideas for that place. I also have I want to do Lunenburg, the Bay. I want to do that one. And there's a few pictures we're going to take on the way back.
So does he still have family in Nova Scotia?
And New Brunswick, yes.
In New Brunswick.
Yes. So
I love New Brunswick.
Always, yeah, yeah. His brother lives there, so that's where we stop before going to take the ferry to Nova Scotia. So, and there's a few things I've got. Ask a guild in Maine. I wanted to go across the United States to see if I could teach, and I've been asked this year. So we're going to organize this, and I'm going another time in the spring to New Brunswick to teach another group. And it's coming all the time. And I teach a master class too for Quilt Quebec this year. The quilt behind me, the house.
I was just going to ask, is that France or Quebec?
That's Quebec City, right close to where the Chateau Frontenac is. This is a building that was built in 1640. And my ancestors came in Quebec in 1650 and 55. And I was thinking maybe they stopped there before they went to Montreal. Quilt Quebec asked 4 artists to design something that represent Quebec. And that was my choice.
That looks spectacular. When did you finish it?
A few months ago, and the pattern is, I've got 187 people registered to the class.
I was just going to say that wasn't for sale at Quilt Canada.
I cannot sell the pattern until I'm done the master class.
Right.
So right after, I'm going to do that.
So are you going to do the master class on Zoom, or are you doing it on? Okay.
It's 4 classes, 1 every month, so that people do the first part and then during the month and then the second part. So it's 2-hour master class per class.
And when does it start?
And the 25th of August.
25th of August. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, have you passed on your love of quilting and art to anybody in your family?
I'm hoping. I've got 2 little girls, one 2 years old, and the other one is just a few months old. And I'm hoping one of them will take it on. And the 3 boys, they're not quite into this yet, but it could change. So I'm hoping. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just gonna die, and I'm hoping not. But
You sure with now? Do you put a label on your quilts?
yes, I do. Yeah, mine is a triangle like this in a corner. I do the free motion quilting with it. I write with the free motion quilting, and I do some kind of design with it. Yes.
So you put on your name. What else do you put on?
The created by and the title and the year. Yeah.
Good. I'm trying to encourage as many people as possible to put labels on their quilts.
I'm teaching that when I go to teach classes. That's part of the teaching that I give, so they have something really awesome to do. Just free motion quilting. Yeah.
Well, I find if I make it earlier in the process, it's not so hard. Like if I make it just after I finish the quilt top with the scraps and things like that.
Yeah.
I find that's the best time for me to make the label.
And you're right.
At the end, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm just done. People are like, do you want to wrap it before you give it to away? No, just go. Just go. I'm always looking for something new. You say at the beginning you were making quilts and you didn't really like that part of it. When you came back to it, did you start with collages or did you start with a quilt again?
No, I started with, when I started doing the applique, the raw edge applique, I discovered that, and that made it fun. And that's when I decided, what am I going to quilt? How am I going to quilt this? And then that's when I started doodling, and it became what it became.
Were your first quilts, like I see that those 2 beautiful puffins behind you, were you doing landscapes and people and animals first, and then you've moved into architecture?
Well, I did a bit of everything at the same time. I did animals, flowers. Architecture is my favorite. That's why in Newfoundland, Mark is going to take pictures of those houses on the rock
The
and
jelly, I think they're called
yeah.
the jelly bean
No,
houses.
not the jelly bean. Those one I did.
Okay.
It's the rock face close to where all the boats come in, and there's all kinds of little houses, very little. And I want to do this one in a very long form. And the same thing with Lunenburg in the bay, and I would like to do the blue nose inside it. Well, in the bay, the architecture and I just love it. And if I could do other things, I'm doing the Chateau Frontenac.
Ooh.
In Quebec City. It's going to be 84 inches by 84 inches, and it's going to be in the fall. And I've designed half of it already, and it's, oh my God, it's huge. So there's so many windows in that thing. So it's going to be fun. Yeah.
So how many projects do you work on at one time?
Oh, 2, 3 at the same time. Yeah.
3.
Because at one, I'm at the point where I write the pattern. The other one is at the point where I trace all my appliques. And the other one is at the point where I quilt. So I have different activities. And when I'm bored, I do the other one. And the whole process is fun. I like it.
Your thread, did you
Yes.
have to play around with thread to discover which ones you like to use?
I like to use the one that will pop up the most. I want a contrasting thread the most, except when I do the background. I don't want their eyes to focus on the background. I want it to focus on the subject. I have a need for flashy colors and shiny threads. So I use those, and I use the same color under in the bobbin than on the top all the time. And I also quilt twice on the same line, on the same design. Makes it thicker. Just once, it's too pale. It doesn't pop out. And twice, it makes it really standing out. That's why people are focused on quilting, because the color, but also the depth creates depth with the quilting right. Twice. And this way you don't have to travel. You can travel many times on the same thread without cutting it.
So what weight of thread are you using?
40.
You use a 40.
40, yes.
And sometimes a double 40. What kind of batting are you using?
I use the Warm Company batting, the 80-20.
The 80-20. Do you ever double bat?
No, I haven't tried that yet, but it's interesting. I'd like to try it once, see what it does.
I find in my bed quilts, it gives it a really nice weight. Now, I personally like a heavy quilt. I know some people don't like that weight, but it really does make your quilting pop that just much.
Yeah.
So if you want those shapes to push out.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think Tula Pink uses double bats in every single one of hers, and Angela Walters quilts fairly densely. So it must be still a good thing. But often when people do the double bats, they're doing different types of bats. Like people will do a cotton with a wool on top, or cotton with a silk on top.
Okay.
And the one closest to your stitching, I guess, is the one that gives the most whatever characteristics it has will lend itself most to the quilting. So, but I personally like the look of the double batting because it lifts it. I like the texture. Like I really love texture. So
I must try that. Yeah.
If people want to contact you about your patterns or your lecture for guilds or your masterclass that you're teaching, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh, they can write to me on my email, or they can go on my website, collectioninedith.com, and they'll find everything on it. The store is there, the online store, the classes I give, but there's more now. What's on the website is not the only course I give. I get way more because every year I get more patterns. So, and I give for beginners and advanced.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's been lovely getting to know you and learning your process. I'm looking forward to making my Amsterdam on the Canal quilt, and I may just sign up for that masterclass.
So thank you for having me, Karen. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
I hope you enjoyed my interview with Edith Choiniere. I cannot wait to start my Amsterdam on the Canal quilt. If you would like to be added to the waiting list for her classes, take a look through her patterns, or book a lecture, I will leave links to her website and social media in the video notes below. Next time you're in your sewing room, have Karen's Quilt Circle playing in the background. I have interviewed so many amazing people on this show. Let one inspire you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.